Go.
Good morning, coaches. My name is Garrett Mize. I'm an intern at Eastern Michigan University under Ron McKeefery. I've been at the University of Akron, College of Mount St. Joe's. I've also interned with Ignition APG down in Cincinnati. I have an Ignition APG certification. I also have my USAW. Olympic lifting. Just by show of hands, we know our coaches use Olympic lifting from volleyball to basketball to football. Interns, how many of you, if you had a program right now, you can even state the sport, would use Olympic lifting? Mike?
I mean, I come from the west side background. I used a lot of speed squats, speed deads, but I would incorporate some hang cleans.
Would you incorporate Olympic lifting like Louis does as interval training, or would you use it more on an Olympic base?
No, I'd probably use it more for speed strength.
Okay. Josh?
Some of the sports we use it with are wrestling and gymnastics specifically. Like the hang cleans, we do a snatch progression.
Matt, I know you work with Coach Fink in basketball, but would you use it, say, like a soccer atmosphere like Coach Norcott does?
I think it applies in a lot of different places. You can use it for like finishers, metabolic finishers, or just purely power output stuff, so definitely good.
All right, Olympic lifting. Basically, just short definition, breaking it down into the snatch and the clean and jerk. Everything else, the derivatives, would be like this. I got this from Mr. Waller, that presented at the NSCA conference, the Great Lakes Convention earlier this month. Pretty much just a hang clean and the snatch, a rack clean and the snatch, push press, push jerk, jerk, clean snatch split, where you're just split and staggering your stances, and you got the quarter squat catch. It's just a progression, just showing the snatch and cleans both at the Olympic levels. Showing the start, showing the pick off, showing the catch of the clean compared to the catch of the snatch. Benefits. My peer, Matt Montroy, already covered the benefits on Strength Coach Basic Training. You can watch his PowerPoint to cover most of the benefits. The only thing I'm going to highlight, which is obviously with Coach Mack, is it's time efficient. That's one thing I learned last week about the Olympic lifts, is it is time efficient. We don't have long time as strength coaches with our kids. So we got to maximize that time, 8 hours a week in the off season. We got to maximize that time and get the full benefit of it. That means if we can train a multi-joint compound movement, we have to, because it's most beneficial for our athletes. But does Olympic lifting work for everyone? Show of hands. Matt, you think it applies to every athlete?
I think different Olympic lifts are more beneficial for different sports, different positions.
Guys versus girls, Josh?
I think both would benefit from different variations.
Coach Hale, D1 athlete versus D3 athlete?
Doesn't matter the athlete. They all need to be able to produce power.
Matt?
Agreed. My only thing is, like I said before, was possibly position-specific stuff would be one thing to consider.
Bad form. Is this really coaching or is this the athlete? I mean, as coaches, we can hammer home time in and time out, like, hey, you're going to catch a clean like this. We can go, USAW through the checklist, showing them the perfect form, showing them videos, showing them everything. Doesn't mean the athlete necessarily gets it, especially when we go up in heavier loads. I mean, Matt, at Bomberitos, when you were down there, would you have a Marshawn Lynch doing a clean with a catch? Now, granted, this is private compared. This is private compared to college, collegiate. Collegiate we normally catch more. Private we normally don't. Matt, would you have your starting quarterback doing full cleans?
It's a choice you got to make. You got to be wary of possibly injuring his throwing wrist, but.
Reasons why Olympic lifting might not be optimal. Athlete has an injury. When a DN comes in with a broken hand, he can't necessarily grab a hold of a barbell. Do we really want to do one-arm snatches with a dumbbell or one-arm cleans with a dumbbell, not being able to incorporate the other hand? That's, for a different time and a different discussion. Coach doesn't want to do Olympic lifts. This happened when I was at the University of Akron. One of the coaches specifically did not want his athlete doing Olympic lifts. So how do we get around that? Progressions into Olympic lifts. Do you jump right into it, or is there another way to progress into an Olympic lift? Just three major questions that I like to consider is, can the athlete execute the movement safely and properly? Can the athlete create a significant stimulus effect with the exercise? If they're catching it like the previous slide, out, knees crooked, Coach Hale, would you consider that a good stimulus?
They're still getting the triple extension, but we have to work on catch.
Does the exercise fit well within the context of the athlete's entire training program? So, I mean, it just like what Matt Montroy said, depends on the sport, depends on the position. But what I'm here really to talk about today is alternatives to Olympic lifting. Be it medicine balls, be it box jumps, Vertimax, kettlebells. You all right, Coach Hale?
Yeah.
Jump squats or jumping. Coach Norcott, one thing I talked with Coach Norcott about, and like I got to give a shout out to my mentor here, is me and Matt Montroy asked him with soccer, it's like, why do we snatch? Not being, developed strength coaches, we didn't understand the purpose of teaching the snatch to a soccer player. I really didn't. But he's like, we need to do it. The girls need to be able to snatch. Like Coach Hale said, every sport needs to be able to de-accelerate and needs to be able to produce scores. But then it comes down to, are we teaching them to be an Olympic lifter or a sport athlete? Like, do we hammer home the specific techniques as USAW talks about, or do we just get them proficient at the lift? That got my eyes open a little bit. But I want to start with the medicine ball clean. Pretty much it does the same as the Olympic lifts. Allows for triple extension. Like Coach Hale just said about the bad form, is they still got triple extension. You can still get triple extension all the way through to the catch. As Coach Matt pointed out last week to us, is her drop point, she isn't pulling her arms. She's dropping, she pulls maximum force all the way up to about right here, and she begins to drop. It's great for rehabbing athletes. Again, you can't always, get Olympic movements. If an athlete's hurt with a hurt hand, shoulder, rehabbing them back without losing everything is key. You don't want to start from, ground zero if you're in the middle of your season. It can be ballistic too. You can take it and you can throw it. You don't have to catch it. A lot of people prefer that you don't catch the medicine ball. You might jam a finger, might do something like that. You need to do push press variations. You can do snatch variations. You just don't catch it. You just throw it. Next one's box jumps. I want to highlight Coach Jim Ratcliffe from the University of Oregon. I got turned on to his website from Mike Boyle. Read his book, and he kind of highlighted Coach Ratcliffe. And pretty much, I took a few key points in Coach Ratcliffe about box jumps. He gets triple extension. It's less impact on joints. Instead of doing a straight vertical, you're landing on something. So if you have a 30-inch vertical, you're not coming down 30 inches. You're coming down on a 28-inch box. So it's only 2 inches of impact on your knees compared to 30 inches. You can even get de-acceleration of the body if you do a depth jump off of it, catching in the right form. But again, you have to catch in the right form. Stretch shortening cycle. If you make it completely all one motion, going down and coming back up, the elastic and the concentric part, you're getting the full benefit of it. I just want to highlight what Coach Ratcliffe would say about the ket, about how he's landing. He's landing in that, the quarter squat. He's not landing in a full squat, not hurting his knees. He's not jumping, his vertical might only be a 40-inch box, but he's jumping to a 20-inch box, 30-inch box. You don't need to jump all the way to a 40. If you miss, a missed rep, we all know as strength coaches, necessarily isn't always good. You're also jeopardizing, especially on a box like that. If you don't have access to a foam plyo box, you could cost your athlete, some scraped up shins. The Vertimax. Now, it does it, triple extension, deceleration. You absorb the forces. Like what we talked previously with Montroy's article, is every sport absorbs forces. This allows you to absorb. It's stretch shortening cycle. You can train from multiple positions, rate of force development. You don't always have to stand in one place. You can even get off the Vertimax and do broad jumps out from it. You can run from it. You can do one-legged hops out. You can bound from it. It's very versatile. Now, granted, not everyone can have access to a Vertimax. So if I can just get my two demonstrators here. I just want to show a cheap version of a poor man's Vertimax. Because not every strength coach is going to have access to $1 million, I mean not $1 million, $1,000 piece of equipment. We can get you, put this on, buckle it in, get you standing on the side. Foot. You can do this with dumbbells, you can do it with the pegs inside the bench. You have your Vertimatch right now. You can tell your athlete to do split squats, split jumps. You can tell them to do full jumps. You can tell them to do quarter jumps. It doesn't matter. It's still a version of Vertimatch. Now, granted, it probably isn't as optimal as the real thing, but it is a different version, different hybrid. Thank you guys. We can take it off. I thank Mike Bradley and Matt Montroy for that demonstration. Another thing is say you have an athlete with an upper body injury. You can still train with it. You just take the cords off from their hands. You're training with the hip and with the mid thigh. So you can still get a triple extension, a version of an Olympic lift, just in a different modality. Kettlebell clean snatch. One thing I want to say is this can be done with just more than just a kettlebell. It can be done with a dumbbell. If you have the hammer strength plates with the handles to it, you can even use those. You're not limited to just kettlebells. So with that being said, every weight room at least has dumbbells to use. And if you don't have, the right amount of dumbbells, and you're doing a large group, 45-pound plates, 35-pound plates, 25-pound plates with the handles, hammer strength will help too. The benefits are kind of similar to all the rest. You can use it as a progression to a barbell. You can do one hand or two. Athlete has a broke hand like one of our DNs here right now. You can use the other hand. Rate of force development. I have a couple quotes here. Dan and John, learning to have symmetry in the movement can jumpstart you to an injury-free career, power, and improve athletic ability. You can still get benefits out of the kettlebell swing, just the swing itself. Not the snatch and not the clean, just the swing itself. The clean and the snatch are just progressions into it. Jump squats. You can do it with a TRX band if you're lucky to have some. You can do one leg, single leg. You can do it with a barbell. Some people prefer to do it with a trap bar because it, takes stress off the back. Still gets triple extension, deceleration of the bar. They got to catch it. They got to absorb the force. Progression. You can teach, a landing in an Olympic lift. Instead of going back to the bad form, maybe you can teach them how to land with knees out, not knees concaving. And still rate of force development. And then just basic jumps. Now, granted, I'm not going to say these are better than Olympic lifts because all the research shows that it isn't better. But, definitely the Olympic lifts are proven to be the most effective. But these are definitely more alternatives that you can use. Single leg jumps, bounding, power skips, broad jumps, and vertical jumps all can do it. Also too, sometimes the strength coaches, depending on what level we're at, we might not see our kids might be like, calls up, hey coach, I'm getting ready to go on a week-long vacation, can you write me up something? I'm going to be in Myrtle Beach. This is, ways you can get, rate of force development, and they don't have any weights. That being said, do we have any questions?